Alright, I thought it'd be fun to read this paragonie.com blog about hardening PHP. This was posted December 12th, 2017, though the title says 2018 right there. I mean, it's December, makes sense. And posted by the Pi staff. They say as the year 2018 approaches, technologists in general, and web developers in particular, must discard many of their old practices and beliefs about developing secure PHP applications. This is especially true for anyone who does not believe such a feat is even possible. This guide should serve as a complement to the ebook, PHP The Right Way, with a strong emphasis on security and not general PHP programmer topics. So our first question is about the book title right there, PHP The Right Way. And I can very briefly go over the table of contents. First, I'll talk about PHP versions, then dependency management with Composer, HTTPS and browser security, developing secure PHP software, and specialized use cases will be the last topic before they have a word from the author, resources, and translations. So here we go, PHP versions. In short, unless you can't help it, you want to be running PHP 7 and plan to switch to 7.3 in early 2019. So here's a little bit of history for the different versions. Some operating systems provide long-term support for otherwise unsupported versions of PHP. That's interesting. But they say here this is considered harmful. In particular, their bad habit, as in the operating system's bad habit of backporting security patches without incrementing version numbers makes it hard to reason about the security of a system given its PHP version. So that's an interesting take, and I wonder which OSs do this. Windows, which Linux distributions is doing this. I can see their point of view why they're saying it's a bad thing, though. I think this false sense of security is one of the big things leading to so many problems in cybersecurity. Well, consequently, regardless of what promises another vendor makes, you should always strive to run only active supported PHP at any given time if you can help it. That way, even if you end up on a security-only version for a while, a consistent effort to upgrade will keep your life free of unpleasant surprises. Okay, so the version section was short. Now we're on to dependency management. The state-of-the-art dependency management solution for the PHP ecosystem is Composer. If you aren't using Composer to manage your dependencies, you'll eventually, hopefully later, but most likely sooner, end up in a situation where only one of the software libraries you depend on becomes severely outdated. So my question, what will likely happen if you don't use Composer? Well, you'll likely use a library that is outdated and then an exploit for a vulnerability, and older versions start circulating among computer criminals. Now, it's important to always remember to keep your dependencies updated as you develop software. Fortunately, this is a one-liner, so it's really easy to use Composer. I'll just add that as a second part to our question. Now, if you're doing something particularly specialized that requires PHP extensions, which are written in C, you cannot install them with Composer. You will also need Pickle. Regardless of what you're building, you'll almost certainly benefit from these dependencies. This is in addition to what most PHP developers recommend. Okay, so I don't even know how this is pronounced. And let's make our text a little bigger. But this security advisories package uses the Friends of PHP repository to ensure that your project doesn't depend on any known vulnerable packages. So I'm just asking, why require this? I haven't typed out all the code there, so I look cool. Well, that will let you know if any of the packages you're using has known vulnerability. And then they say alternatively you can upload your composer.lock file to Sensio Labs as part of a routine automated vulnerability assessment workflow to alert you of any outdated packages. So what can you use this composer.lock file to do? You can upload it to Sensio Labs. Let's check that out. Well, we click that link and then it tells us to go to this other link. That is, if we want to upload. And so here it is, pretty straightforward. I want to go back though, because if you're a command line fan, you can use this. PHP checker security : check, and then the path to your composer lock file. Alright, so next up is Vimeo/Psalm. So Psalm is a static analysis tool that helps identify possible bugs in your code. Although there are good static analysis tools such as Fan and PHP Stan, which they're saying are both excellent. If you ever find yourself needing to support PHP 5, Psalm is the go-to static analysis tool for PHP 5.4 and above. And then they say using Psalm is relatively easy. You have your composer required, --dev Vimeo, like there will be more versions, they're saying, but you only need to do this once. And after that, do this as often as you need. I wonder when they say do they mean open this as often as you need? Well, if you're running this as an existing code base for the first time, you might see a lot of red. And unless you're building an application as large as WordPress, it's unlikely the effort required to get the test to all pass will qualify as Herculean. Regardless of which static analysis tool you use, we recommend you bake it into your continuous integration workflow so that it is run after every code change. So a large question for our sixth and final question. We'll go ahead and end here, and the next video part we'll go over this, HTTPS and browser security. Our final question to kind of wrap up that last section is just like, what should you use the static analysis tool for? And what's the recommended one here being called?